Who is heading to paradise? Tayshia Adams is getting serious with her new man, and we get a sneak peek at Charity's season promo. Hey everyone, welcome back into a Bachelor Nation news update. We have so much to discuss with you today. We are so looking forward to Charity's season. Bachelor in Paradise is starting to film soon, so we're going to get into all of it. But before we do, if you are new here, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss out on any Bachelor Nation updates. As always, I'm your host, Morgan Wright, today joined by Kayla G. Kayla, what are you more excited for? Charity season or figuring out who's going to be on Bachelor in Paradise?
I'm so excited for Charity season, but I have to say Bachelor in Paradise. I love the mystery behind it, all of our favorites and maybe not so favorites coming back. I'm so here for it.
Well, let's go ahead and start there because we've been seeing former Bachelor Nation members, kind of dropping hints on whether or not they will or will not be on the beaches of Mexico for this upcoming season. Katie Thurston gave us a big hint this past week. So she was doing a question and answer on her Instagram, and she gave us a pretty cryptic answer that I think says a lot for not really saying a lot. It was one sentence, but it really gives us a peek as to what's going to be going on. So someone asked her about the possibility of her showing up on Bachelor in Paradise. And her response was, there are enough leads going. So that kind of infers one, that she's not going, and two, that there are multiple leads that are already slated. Do you have any guesses just right off the bat of potential leads that we've seen who we now know are single that will be on Paradise this season?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's so Katie of her to do that. I love it. She's creating chaos, and that's the Katie Thurston I love. And I never thought she was going to go, so that part didn't surprise me. But my initial pick, before some additional news that we will talk about, is Rachel and Michelle. I think they're friends in real life. I think they'd be a great duo. And I really thought Clayton too. So those were my top three picks. I know there's been a couple other, like a Gabby, a Susie, a Pilot Pete. So I think it's definitely in that realm. I think we've got it right, but it just depends on which one's actually going.
Yeah, and it's so hard because, up until Becca Kufrin kind of broke that glass ceiling, right? Like, no former leads wanted to be on Bachelor in Paradise until Becca went on. And now there's a world of possibilities because, no offense, but a lot of these relationships have not worked out. And look, Becca was the Bachelorette. That didn't work out for her. She went on Bachelor in Paradise, and now she's in that relationship. They're getting married. They're having a child together. So the sky's the limit. My main guess for this is Pilot Peter. I think he's going to be walking down. I also definitely think Gabby or Rachel or potentially both. But I feel like, with Peter's situation with Kelly, we know Peter loves love, and he is not one to shy away from, having his pick, dating many people at one time. So I'm thinking that he's far enough removed from his season that he might be ready to do it again. It's not as fresh as it would have been a couple years ago. Like you said, we're going to get into one lead that we all thought would be there, Clayton Eckert. We thought he was a shoo-in, but he went on his Instagram this week to say that he will not be there. Were you surprised by this?
I was shocked, not only of him not going to Paradise. I knew it was probably a possibility, even though in my heart of hearts, I thought he was. But I was surprised he just went on Instagram story and just kind of blurted it out and then kind of ended it with, I'm going to my first dance class. I don't know, it was a big question mark for me. And it was even like, okay, so he's saying not, but I'm like 95% not. I have a 5% opening, which is like, is he just trying to mess with us? Is he hinting to Dancing with the Stars, even though we're like super early from that? And another thought I had was, does this open the door for Susie Evans a little bit more? Because it would have been a little messy if Clayton and Susie were on together. So those are all my kind of initial thoughts when I saw it.
It would have been super messy if Clayton, Susie, Gabby, and or Rachel would have been there. But to your point, Dancing with the Stars, we know Ariana Madix has already been slated to go on it. So I feel like they might be looking at people early, and they love a Bachelor contestant. That was also something that used to be a little taboo. They didn't want Bachelor contestants coming on, but I mean, I don't see why not. It gives them huge ratings. The Bachelor fandom loves to see, their contestant competing. So maybe we'll see Clayton instead of on the beaches of Mexico, he'll be in the ballroom. And just to look at the here for the right reasons or the wrong reasons of it all, when you think back to like peak Bachelor, in my opinion, was JoJo, Hannah
Oh
Brown,
yeah.
even Pilot Peter's season where you had a lead and you knew they were going to have a million plus followers coming off of the show. It's not like that anymore. I mean, how many followers did Zach have? Like less than 200,000, I want to say. So when you take into consideration that a lot of people that go on these shows do want some sort of influencer career, the next step for them organically would be to go on Bachelor in Paradise. And you have someone like Becca who kind of is the blueprint for that, right? Like, she was the Bachelorette. She already had a lot of followers, but then it didn't work out. She goes on this show, she gains more followers, and now she's really cemented, I think, as like Bachelor Nation royalty. You almost have these
Mhm.
tiers of couples in Bachelor Nation. I feel like Becca and Thomas are at the top. I mean, as long as you don't pull a Brendan and Piper and have those open conversations about how many followers you're going to get on the beach, I feel like, you do kind of uh, going on Paradise is a way to enhance your career in this day and age. I mean, do you have any thoughts to add to that point before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, the landscape is definitely changing. The single Bachelor and Bachelorette seasons are not what they used to be. So I think this is going to be to Bachelor in Paradise's benefit. Along with that, Becca paving the way of being like top tier Bachelor and Paradise queen. And I really think that combination is that not just this season, but following seasons are going to be on another level because we're going to get those. The reason that they were chosen Bachelor and Bachelorette is because they have a huge fan base, whether they're getting the amount
Mm.
of followers that they did before or not. So I think it's going to bring more people in about Bachelor in Paradise and maybe less like night oneers of like you have no idea who they are. So I'm really, really like especially excited for this upcoming season more than I have been in the last few because Gabby is my girl. Like some of these like leads, I'm so excited to watch on TV again.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to say, I would be so excited to see my favorite former bachelorette back on the beaches of
Tell
paradise.
me.
But my girl, Tayshia Adams, is getting serious with someone else in the reality TV world. So I know, Kayla, you're a huge Bravo fan. Tayshia has a
Mhm.
new boyfriend. His name is Luke Gulbranson. He is a Bravo celebrity. He was on a couple seasons of Summer House and Winter House. He's not on any shows currently, but Tasha and Luke have been spotted out a lot together recently, both on dates, at Tiffany's, looking at rings, which has, really sounded off alarm bells in both Bachelor Nation and the Bravo sphere. And according to Us Weekly, they are mad about each other and serious about their future. Now, I've heard that they're going to Italy together for Andy Dorfman's wedding coming up this summer as well. Um, Thoughts on this reality TV crossover and their potential budding romance?
Yeah, this reality TV couple was not on my bingo card whatsoever. I wouldn't have seen this coming, which is what I love about it when like two of your favorites from completely different worlds come together. It's just the best of both worlds, not to quote Hannah Montana. But I am very excited about it. And like, can we see? I know Luke isn't on Summer House anymore, but like, I don't know, like if Tasha was on a Winter House or a Summer House, I would be living. So I kind of
Yeah.
like the idea, the two world reality TV worlds. The fact that they're already looking at rings is kind of like, whoa. I mean, they haven't even done like a hard launch on social media. We had the Easter fiasco with Lindsay Hubbard posting a picture of them holding hands, but that's like the most we've gotten other than like TMZ pictures. So it'll be interesting to see at what point will she want to share this? Or, I mean, is the hard launch going to be on the wedding day? Like I'm kind of interested to see what their game plan is kind of to the public because we're all talking about it.
Yeah, so a couple different things here, and this is all hearsay. But first, I did see a blind item that there could potentially be a new show with Luke and Tasha and others. Um, revolving around a lake house because, Luke is our
Oh,
Minnesota man. He's, always out in the wilderness tapping those maple trees, but he's not on Summer House anymore. So I have heard those rumors that there could potentially be this possible spinoff with Tayshia involved. I've also heard that Luke and Tayshia both bonded over their religion. Tayshia grew up Catholic, Luke
mhm.
is very much so Christian. So that was a bonding thing for them. I talked to Andrea Denver on my podcast this week, and he raves about both of them. So I do really enjoy this couple. And like you, Kayla, I was not expecting it, but I can see it. And I'm
Mhm.
hoping that Tayshia is going to be the one to make Luke settle down. Because that's been the red flag a little bit in the past, right? With
True.
Luke, is that you don't necessarily trust that he's ready to settle down, get married. But I mean, if you grab a girl like Tayshia Adams, I feel like you're going to want to settle down with her.
She is top tier. She is the queen
Yeah.
of Bachelorette. Like, I loved her season so much. I'm still like crying a little bit inside for her and Zach. I'll never get over it. But I am
Yes.
so happy for her to be moving on. And I hope this lake house rumor is true. I mean, I'm assuming, with Winter House, Summer House, it'll be kind of a similar vibe. And we saw that spinoff, like Summer House Martha's Vineyard, is doing really well.
Mhm.
I absolutely love that show, by the way.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it would be a slam dunk for Bravo to do something like that, and to bring Tayshia in would just be iconic.
Yes, I agree. So fingers crossed, let's manifest that out into the universe. And let's just go down this rabbit hole that could be a potential Bravo spinoff where you have a Bachelorette crossover. I mean, I can't really think of another time where someone on the Bachelor franchise has ended up being on Bravo or a Netflix show. And in the Bravo sphere and on Netflix, it happens a lot, right? Like you get on one
Mhm.
main show, you have a couple seasons, and then you branch off into other things. It keeps the Bravo celebrity happy, right? But then you get to Bachelor Nation, and what have we heard a lot from contestants on that side of things? That they use you for a season and then they're done with you and they don't care, what you
Yeah.
do or where you go or anything like that. What's your take on that? And do you think that the Bachelor franchise is dropping the ball, not having other spinoffs besides Bachelor in Paradise?
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen the Bravo universe right now. Vanderpump Rules is like floating, getting like, there are core groups of like Bachelor friends that they could make some type of reality show following their life. And I actually was watching the Vile Files a couple weeks ago, and Nick Viall said that Ashley and Jared actually had something in the works, and Jade and Tanner were in it. Nick Viall had a role, and they were like, apparently they just got didn't like wasn't patient enough and signed with someone else, and it kind of just died there. But I mean, I think that could have been so good, especially with kind of the newer generation of Bachelor doing something like that, whether it's a summer house where they all are in a house or just following their lives individually or as couples. I think would be a slam dunk and needs
Mhm.
to happen. I really, Bachelor is changing, and Bachelor in Paradise probably gets most of the attention right now, so it kind of growing from that, I think, is just a natural progression that needs to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, when you really think about it, like the reason that Vanderpump Rules is, number one right now is because it is organic, it's authentic relationships, and the audience
Mhm.
knows them. In Bachelor World, it's like that takes nothing. I mean, think about if they would have had a real world or Vanderpump Rules type show after Katie Thurston's season of The Bachelorette, where she breaks up with Blake, is best friends with John Hersey, then starts dating him. Could you imagine? People would be glued to their
Old.
TVs. And it's interesting too that Tayshia kind of is the first rumor that we're hearing of maybe her doing something with Bravo, but she very much so distanced herself from the Bachelor franchise on purpose, right? Especially after she got off the podcast and all the other things. So it
Mhm.
feels like a very pointed decision. And I agree with you, Kayla. I think they're missing out on a huge opportunity. And by the looks of things, they're late to the party on pretty much everything. It's taken 5 years to get the Golden Bachelor. And it's like, when are we actually getting it, So who knows? Bravo remains number one in my book. And if the Bachelor franchise doesn't keep up, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I hope more things like this happen with like Tayshia. She's off contract, has been for a while. And as others, like they kind of explore different opportunities, even if that is different networks, if The Bachelor isn't going to have a platform for that. I know we saw Winter Games a while back. It's kind of a faint memory now, but it just lasted one season. But you got to see, groups of people that you wouldn't before. Ashley and Ben have that real friendship. I mean, they have a podcast now, and seeing the different friendships and seeing how they evolve. And I think there was a competition aspect of it, but I think they could do something similar to not Winter House, Winter Games. And I think that it would do really well.
Yeah, I mean, write it down. I mean, especially because they're going through a writer strike. So ABC might need some extra content, some unscripted content. So maybe we will see it after all. TBD on that one. Another interesting story that came up this week, Gabby Windey admitted that she slid into Ben Higgins' DMs. So a couple that could have been, Gabby Windey went on the Almost Famous podcast with Rachel Recchia and admitted that she slided into Ben Higgins' DMs before he was married and before her time on the Bachelor franchise. I think they could have been the cutest couple ever, but what do you think?
I mean, visually, they're just like, yes, they're beautiful. They would have beautiful babies. I almost wonder if Gabby Windey's a little bit too much of a wild card for him. He's very, he's not one to like say crazy things. He's very, he's almost just like a kind of like a Chris
No.
Harrison vibe a little bit,
Yeah.
just kind of, the buttoned up a little. So, I mean, but maybe that's what he needs. In an alternate universe, I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it too. Of course, you're happy that Ben Higgins is married and,
Yes.
Gabby is still on her journey, but they really could have been a cute couple. And I feel like Bachelor Nation really would have got behind that one. They would have made just the most beautiful babies too, like you said. But okay,
Yeah.
last but certainly not least, we're gonna check in with Charity. She gave fans some behind the scenes of her Bachelorette promo shoot. So when seeing the set for the first time, it's got all these big red roses, it's got this gold throne, the budget looks insane. It looks like to me one of those iconic Bachelorette promos that we haven't really had in a while. But you see Charity in this behind the scenes video saying that she was living out her childhood fantasy. What did you make of this teaser, and where do you think it ranks on maybe like the iconic scale? And what are the ones that you
Mhm.
remember?
I really, really loved it. It was very Alice in Wonderland. And she just, I mean, with the throne at the end, taking her rightful place, I loved every second of it. And it actually very much reminded me of Hannah Brown's when she's like
Mhm.
walking kind of in a meadow or a forest with the gown. And that is my ultimate. Like Hannah Brown's season, I think is my number one favorite, and all the promo leading up to it. And so I think this is like right underneath that, like top three. I mean, not to bring Katie Thurston into it again, but that poor girl,
We
like
always
she
have
just got the
to with
worst one. And Claire too.
it.
But I always really loved Tayshia's too, with like the newspaper,
Mhm.
because of the kind of switcheroo between Claire and Tayshia. They had to do something a little different. So I would say probably Hannah Brown, Tayshia, and then Charity might be my favorite. What about you?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's interesting too that when you look at it from a standpoint of who got engaged, I mean, Hannah Brown got engaged on her season, Tayshia got engaged on her season. So if we're keeping that track record, hopefully Charity will get engaged on her season. Katie did not. Michelle did not. And I remember Michelle's too. And I remember in the moment really liking it, but I don't think it's one of those really super memorable ones. Like you could say Tayshia Adams teaser, and I'd be like, yes, the one with the newspapers flying everywhere,
Love.
and same with Hannah Brown. But yeah, I have really high hopes for Charity. I mean, I have been number one fan, president of the Charity fan club since the moment I saw her step out of the limo in
She's
that pink
amazing.
sparkly dress. So best of luck to her. I think this promo is, a sign of good things to come. And we'll be getting more teasers, as we get closer. We're less than a month away from her her season premiere. So hopefully we'll get the full length trailer soon. And then Kayla, you and I could
Oh,
break down the full length trailer together.
I can't wait. Like once we actually see her in the process and seeing like what type of drama is going to happen, that's when I get really invested. So I cannot wait till we get they're just dropping little things along the way as this 1 month countdown happens, and I'm gonna
Yep.
be eating it up.
Absolutely. Well, let us know what you think in the comment section. We love to hear from our shared news family. Are you excited for charity season? If you have any predictions about who will or will not be going to Bachelor in Paradise, leave a comment, leave a thought, leave an opinion, whatever you want before you go. And make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Give this video a thumbs up so you never miss out on any of our Bachelor Nation news panels. As always, I'm your host, Morgan, today joined by Kayla G. Our handles are on the screen right now if you want to come say hi to us on social media. If not, we'll see you back here next time for another Bachelor News Breakdown. Bye, everyone.